Hello dear students, welcome back. Today we will be studying reported speech. Request form, order forms and question forms and telling normal sentences. So what is direct and reported speech? For example, go and tidy your room. And I want to say that, for example, Ali said this, and I want to say Ali said blah, blah, blah. Ali told me, by the way, we have started with orders and requests. Ali told me to go and tidy my room. Now, when we're reporting orders and requests, there are something that we should pay attention to. We have some clues. First things first, you have to know if it's a request or an order, because I will explain it later. And the second one is pronouns. Objects, pronouns, possessive pronouns, or possessive adjectives. And we should pay attention to these ones. What kind of things we use here? For example, I could also say, Ali said. But if I use said instead of told, I cannot use me. Ali said to go and tidy my room. And if we're talking about requests, we generally 90% use ask. Asked me or requested me to do blah, blah, blah. For example, Mom says, come home early. I am going to say, my mom told me to come home early. You can see that we have two. We start the sentence, the reported speech sentence, with who said it, and then told, asked, or said. If I used told or asked, I can give the information of whom they said. They said whom, and then to. Here we're talking about affirmative orders and requests. To verb 1, and then the rest of the sentence. But if I'm talking about a negative order or request, again, I will start with who said it, told, asked, said. Again, if it's told or asked, I can give the information of whom, and then this time we use not to. Verb 1 and the rest of the sentence. This is an important one. Now we will give examples. For example, teacher says, do your homework. And I'm gonna say, our teacher told us to do. This time, your turns into our homework. Or if I want to give an example of a negative order or request, for example, don't be late for my class. Again, a teacher can say this, don't be late for my class. This time, I will say, our teacher told us not to, our verb 1, be late for her class. You should pay attention to, again, the pronouns and possessive adjectives or objects pronouns, subjects pronouns. Let's say gym instructor. Susie, run faster. Gym instructor told, this time it's Susie, to run faster. Pick up your brother from his friend's house. And I will say, my dad told me to pick up my brother from his will stay the same because it's he for my dad, also me, from his friend's house. Don't talk to Ali. Okay, let's say this is it. Ayşe told me not to talk to Ali. Let's say our boss says, please, now we have a request sentence in this one. Please don't be late for work. Now I will start the sentence with our boss asked us or told us not to, because it's a negative one, not to be late for work. Okay, let's give a few more examples using orders and requests, and then we will jump into the question forms. Yes, no question and WH question forms. Susan's brother or don't stretch too hard before working out. Again, this is a negative one, and it's an order sentence. Ayşe told me not to stretch too hard before working out. Okay. Orders and requests are pretty simple actually. We have seen this in A2 level, B1 level. Now we have question forms. Let's start with yes, no question form, reported speech. In this one, there's a tricky part, but it's rather easy actually. For example, are you going to join our dinner tonight? Let's say that Julie asked me this question. I am pretty sure that you remember this one, but the thing that we do with yes-no questions and reported speech is that the first thing is we use whether or if, and the second thing is this applies for all reported speech positive, negative sentences other than orders and requests and question forms. We use tense, our tense, in its past form. So, for example, this is a yes-no question, and the tense we have in the sentence is be going to. I'm going to start with Julie asked me, and then I'm going to use whether or if. Let's go back to here. She said you, and since I'm the one telling the sentence, I will say I. Then let's go back to the tense. The past form of be going to is either was or were going to. So with subject I, we use was going to. Join. Be careful with this one. She said our, and I'm gonna say their dinner tonight. But there's also one more thing that you should pay attention to, because in order, actually, we don't have necessarily a question sentence after whether, because I didn't put the auxiliary verb at the beginning of the sentence. Rather, I started with the subject. So actually, after, let's take a note. After whether or if, we put the sentence in a positive sentence form. As you can see, after whether, I didn't use a normal question form. I put the subject right after if or whether, and actually this is a normal question order. I was going to join their dinner tonight. This looks pretty complicated, but this is our main sentence. The most important thing is you shouldn't forget to use whether or if, and you have to transform the tense into its past form, and you're going to also transform the question form into a positive sentence form after whether and if. Let's say John did she or did Melissa call you and tell you about tomorrow's event? So this is a yes/no question. Our tense is past simple, which means I'm going to use past perfect as the tense of the sentence. John asked me, or I can use a couple more things. If I'm going to use asked, I have to use whom. But John, I could also say wondered, and I cannot use any whom object pronoun after wondered. I should put whether or if right after wondered. Or I can use wanted to know. And again, after wanted to know, I have to use whether or if. Let's go back to the example. John asked me. Let's use if this time. If Melissa, this is a past simple sentence, that's why I am going to use past perfect. If Melissa had called, John asked you, so I will say me, and told me about tomorrow's events. Let's have a look at this example. John asked me if Melissa had called me. I used past perfect. After this example, we will examine which tense is the past form of the other tense. Past simple's past form is past perfect. And after if, I did a normal positive sentence rather than a question form. If Melissa, subject, verb, objects, also the rest of the verb. So let's do a quick note. What are the things that we should pay attention to? First thing is the tense, because we are going to make it in the past form, and I'm going to do right here a chart. The second one is to use whether or if. It depends on you. It doesn't matter. They both give the same meaning. And the third thing is after whether and if, we use positive sentence form, not a question sentence form. And right here, I'm going to show you what are the past forms of each tense. For example, in if present simple is the direct speech, in reported speech, I have to use past simple. If in the direct speech we're talking about present progressive, I have to use past progressive. Present perfect, past perfect, present perfect progressive, past perfect progressive, and past simple also turns into past perfect. Past progressive also goes to past perfect progressive. If we are talking about future tenses, for example, will, we will use would in a reported speech. If we're talking about can in direct speech, I'm going to use could. If, like in the past example we used, if we are using be going to, I'm going to use was or were going to. So this is basically the tenses that we should be using when we're transforming direct speech into reported speech. And these are the clues also you should pay attention to. Julia says, we had so much fun. Why? Or let's do a question form first, and then we will go with the positive and negative sentences. Did you invite my brother to your birthday? So the first thing is, as you can clearly see, our tense is past simple. Julia, let's use a different one this time. Julia wanted to know whether we have a you in the direct speech, so I will use I had invited. She says my brother, so I will say her brother to your birthday party. So I will say my birthday party. Actually, when you understand the clues, it is pretty simple and easy to do. So let's do WH questions with reported speech. We used whether or if when we were talking about yes/no questions. This time we don't have such thing. We're not going to add anything. But the tense change is also applied here. Why won't you come with us? So, as I said, the first thing you should find is the tense. In this one, it's simple feature. Feature simple. Which is will, and its past form, as you all know, is would. I will start with Julie wondered. After this one, it can be wondered, it can be asked me, it can be wanted to know. After this one, I put the WH question form. Why? And then the thing that we did with yes/no questions, transforming question form into the positive form, also applies for here. Why? Now I have to use won't, but in a past form. Why I wouldn't come with, she says us, I will say them. So let's review what we have done when we're talking about WH questions in reported speech. Again, this is the same. We're starting with who asked this question. Wondered, asked me, wanted to know, all of those things. And then WH question form. And right after that, again, I won't use any question sentence after the WH question. Rather, like we did before, we are going to use a positive sentence, affirmative sentence structure after the WH question. You have to again be careful with the pronouns. You have to transform the tense into its past form. Wouldn't come with them. This is actually pretty practical. How has your sibling had an accident? Let's say that John asked this question. John, first things first, look at the tense. We have present perfect. So I will use past perfect in the reported speech form. John asked me. Our WH question form is how. Our subject is your sibling, which I have to refer as my sibling. And then the rest of it depends on your tense, and you have to transfer it into a positive sentence. My sibling had an accident. By the way, we don't add any question marks at the end of reported speech because we are retelling the question someone asked. So it's basically not a question. When is your traveling to USA? Julia asked this. So the tense we have here is present progressive. We said that if in direct speech we have present progressive, I have to turn it into past progressive in the reported speech form. Julia wanted to know when. She says your sister, so I will say my sister was traveling to USA. Okay. Why? Let's say John asked this. Why do you wake up so early every day? Our tense here is present simple. So I will rewrite this sentence using past simple. Let's start with John asked me why. He asked you, so I will say I woke up so early every day. No, not question mark. What did you have for lunch? In this one, our tense is past simple. So I'm going to use past perfect. Julia wanted to know what our main verb is have. So I will use had lunch for lunch, sorry. Where were you going when I saw you? This is a more complicated one, but the theory is the same. I say our tense here is past progressive. Aisha asked me. So the tense I will be using is past perfect progressive, where I had been going when. The second part is also past simple, so I will use when she had seen me. This is the rule of reported speech when we're using in questions. Let's do positive and negative statements, sentences. This is the easiest one because the only thing that you're going to pay attention is the tense and the pronouns, or possessive adjectives, possessive pronouns, or objects pronouns. Let's say, Sena, I didn't enjoy your company. I will say, Sena told me that she hadn't enjoyed my company. Like this. She isn't feeling well. Tense is present progressive. Ali said that I can use said, but I cannot use any people objects here to whom he said that. That she wasn't, so I will be using past progressive. She wasn't feeling well. I was cooking before you came. In this one, as you can see, the first part of the sentence is built with past progressive and the second part is with past simple. So I will examine them and treat them each of them. My mom said that she had been cooking before I had come. Like this. I haven't been studying German for a while now. By the way, another key point, you have to be very careful with the time expressions as well, like the pronouns. Ali said that our tense here is present perfect progressive. So I will use past perfect progressive. Ali said that he hadn't been studying German for a while then. Time expressions are also very, very important when we are transforming direct speech into reported speech. For example, in the sentence, in the direct sentence, if now, the time expression now is used, I will use it as then. Or at the moment, at that moment. If tomorrow is used, I will say the following day or the next day. Or if yesterday is used, I can say the previous day. This is very important. We haven't seen my cousin's newborn yet. So you can see a negative sentence in this one. She said that they hadn't seen her cousin's newborn yet. Now I can directly put yet in the reported speech sentence because in this one our tense is past perfect. So also in past perfect we can use yet, so we don't have a problem with this one. My grades are getting better day by day. I will say, my brother said that his grades. You can see a present progressive in the first sentence, so I will use past progressive. His grades were getting better and better day by day. Okay, dear students, thank you for tuning in today. I hope you understood and enjoyed our lesson. Hope to see you on our next lesson. Take care of yourselves.